Hello, everybody. This is Tony again with the Sublimation Zone with Subzone Inks and SublimationPlusLV.com. So wherever you're looking for me, I'll definitely be there. Today I want to do a quick tutorial on how I use my Eco Rush inks. The Eco Rush ink is an Eco Solvent ink. It's a water-based Eco Solvent ink that I provide. It's compatible with Epson desktop printers. So basically, you're allowed to make it gives you the opportunity to make Eco Solvent transfers via your small desktop printer and not required, very expensive wide format printer. I found it, works out really, really well for me, and I make shirts and things like that, and I'm trying to find other options. But for the shirts, it's a really good option for me. So, if you're trying to find out a little bit more information on what the Eco Solvent ink is, there's other posts that I have on the page. You can feel free to reach out to me and stuff like that. But I want to make this tutorial basically on how I make the transfer. So if you're looking for more information on the actual inks, feel free to reach out to me and also kind of refer to the topic section of the group page, and it'll also provide you with a little bit more info. But what you actually print onto is a printable vinyl. This is an Eco Solvent printable vinyl. It's actually made by Sizer or Caesar. I'm not gonna lie, I know I probably butchered that name. I call it Sizer. I'm used to calling it Sizer. So throughout this video, if anytime I mention it, it will be referred to as Sizer. Although I believe it is pronounced Caesar. So either way, this is the Sizer printable vinyl. It is, you do need an Eco Solvent ink to print on this. Pigment inks will not work. Sublimation inks will not work simply because it just will not. It will not absorb into the vinyl. It will sit on top. It'll smear. It'll become a mess, and you'll be mad and you'll be angry. So you do need this for this printable vinyl. You are required an Eco Solvent ink. Anything less, anything otherwise will just simply not work. So the printable vinyl. This is the Color Print Easy from Sizer, and I purchased this roll from a Heat Transfer Warehouse. It came in a 14.5 inch wide roll, and then I bought just several yards of it. I can't remember the exact price, but that's what I use. This is what I use to make my transfers. The one good side to this is, it's 14.5 inches wide, and then I just cut 12-inch sheets, and I'll show you. Basically, I cut 12-inch sheets, and this is what I print onto. I feed this through the rear feeder of my 7720, and this would actually you print onto to make your transfer. It has a matte side. The matte side is the side you print on, and it has like a glossy side. The glossy side is eventually the side that you'll be peeling away, and that's you'll have the adhesive exposed so when you actually heat press it. So a matte side you print, the glossy side you don't. You just kind of leave it alone. I cut it in 12-inch, a 12-inch slice, or so to speak, or a sheet. And the reason why is because I'm cutting with a Cameo 3 cutter, a Silhouette Cameo 3 cutter. It cuts up to 12 inches wide, and it cuts up to 24 inches long. Obviously, for me, I'm looking at it, and I wear a 2X shirt. I'm a big guy. I wear a 2X shirt. Anything 12 by 14 is a good size, even for a 2X or 3X shirt. So for me, anything bigger than that, yeah, it'll work, but I just feel like it's just a little bit of a waste. I don't need to go 24 inches, and I don't really feel like anything past 14, 15 inches is really worth it for me. That's just my personal opinion. If you want to go bigger and you have different options to cut bigger and things like that, that's great, but I'm just showing you what I do with my Cameo 3 cutter. So it cuts 12 inches, and then I'll have it set up for 14.5 inches as well. So this is the sheet. This is what you actually print onto and things like that. One thing that I'm going to try to make this video as smooth as possible. So I will be pausing it a couple of times. I'm going to be pausing it right now because I'm going to move you over to my computer, and I must have a design set up, and I'm going to show you how I set the design up for getting it printing and getting it ready to cut up and things like that. So I'm going to pause it right now, and we'll reconvene in no time. Okay, and we're back. I'm going to be doing this one-handed because I'm trying to hold the camera pretty close and steady to the screen so you can get a good visual. But basically, right now I'm in my Silhouette Studio Design program. I have the business edition, but to be honest with you, that part really doesn't matter as far as what you're going to be trying to do. And I have a design ready to go. This design is something I found on Google, and also have it part of one of my pages that I'll be offering as far as, a design group, so to speak. But that's a different subject. So this design is ready to go. It's almost ready to cut, but I do want to show you as far as how I set it up. So let me begin, and you would have to go to your page setup tab, and then obviously because it's a custom size, it's 12 by 14. I would just go to custom, and then in my dimensions I'm going to put 12 inches, and then I'm going to put 14 and a half, and so that should be set up as far as the actual sheet of vinyl that I have, okay? So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to go to this third part right here, this third tab. It's the actual registration setup marks. And then, oh, actually, let me make sure that I have my cutting mat set up, because you can't, without your cutting mat on and active, you won't be able to set up any registration. So, set up your machine. I'm cutting with a Cameo. My cutting mat, I'm cutting with 12 inches by 24-inch mat. So now I should be able to set up my registration mark. So I go to that third tab, registration marks, I'm going to click it on. Now you could see how my registration marks just popped up. This is what the actual eye of the Cameo cutter is going to read, so it can cut this design out of the vinyl. So, me personally, what I like to do, this inset, I like to move this all the way down, because when you move, or just so you see, when you move it around, it limits your space. Anything inside those marks is what it's going to cut. So I just move it all the way down to the back, or to the to the left, because I want the maximum design basically printed onto the vinyl. I want as much as I can get. That's just how I am. So I move that all the way over. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this into my design area, and I'm just gonna size it out, make it a little bit bigger and a little bit longer, and a little bit taller. So we make sure that it actually fits inside those marks. So this is one thing that I do for me. When this is how I set up my print and cut. Now this design is about 95% ready to print and cut. However, there's a very important step that I do. When you're printing and cutting, you set it up to cut the outline of this design. Sometimes, I'm sure you guys know, if you're familiar with print and cut, sometimes it strays and you might get some white edges and things like that. So the way that I look at it is, instead of getting a random white edge where it just kind of didn't cut exactly on the line, I'm just going to put a white outline around the whole thing, and that way the whole design will just kind of have like a white border, so to speak. I like the way it looks. It does kind of give it a slight tacky sticker look, if that makes sense, which you'll see later, but it gives it a better, cleaner cut, and it's just what I personally prefer. So how I achieve that is, I have my design ready to go. I select my design. Let me get out of this screen here. Okay, I'm going to go down to the offset tab, and because I'm basically going to have the machine cut the offset outline and leave the design alone. So I'm going to offset that. You'll see a red line pop up. You see those red lines pop up? Now I'm going to just lower that down to 0.05. 0.05 is what I like myself. So it's not that far away from the design, if that makes sense. It starts off like at let me make sure you guys can see it. Okay, it starts off like at 0.125 or something like that, but I dropped it down less than half of that, because I like I want a border, but I don't want a big border, if that makes sense. So basically what's going to happen is, I'm just going to click apply. What's going to happen when I send it over to cut, I'm not going to do it right now, but what I do personally is, before I send it to the cutter, I just move this design over. I send this part to my cutter, and all it does is it cuts the offset, and it doesn't damage the design, it doesn't mess with the design, and the design is intact. That's what I personally do myself. So I'm going to undo that. Now this design is ready to send to the printer first. First we have to get this stuff ready and sent over to the printer and printed on the actual vinyl itself. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Print. I'm going to go to Print here as well to make sure that I have everything set up. I'm going to be printing through a Workforce 7720, so I'm going to have that. I'm going to go to my preferences, and I already have mine already set up. Basically, you have to go to for me, the first part is, say, okay, let's start over. Let's take a step backwards and say you're not ready. That way I'll show you the preferences to start with. So when you start, this will be your regular screen. You're going to have to go to document size first. Go to user defined, because your document size is not on this list, because it's a custom cut. So you have to type in 12 inches by 14.5 inches, okay? So once you do that, it's automatically going to give you, it should automatically give you the option to go through the rear paper feeder. Most of the time it does. I don't know why I didn't do it on this time, but whatever. That was a little odd. Of course, it messes it up while I'm recording. So, so that's that. And then the paper type, I keep that. Make sure you have the rear paper feed slot selected. User defined to 12 inches by 14.5 inches. Then I use the plain bright white paper setting. I go to settings and I go to more, and then I just move it all the way over to this, to the quality. I click OK, and then I go to more options. Deselect the high speed, uncheck that, and then color corrections, go to advanced or custom, and then click advanced. And you're going to go to Epson Vivid, make sure it's on Adobe RGB 2.2. I personally like to boost up my brightness to about a 5 or a 6. I'm going to put about a 6. And my saturation up to about a 2. And that's all I do. So then I click OK. I'll go back to my main page to make sure everything is good to go. And then if you want to save that setting, you can. You would just go to add or remove presets. It's already set up for those settings, so you would just type the name for that, which I already have mine is set as Eco Rush Ink and then the dimensions. So you just put Eco Rush Ink right there and just click save, and it'll save those presets so you don't have to keep going through those. So that's that. Those are the presets that I have as far as the settings go for the printer preferences. And I'm just going to go ahead and send it to my 7720. And then I'm going to pause the video, and we'll be at my printer as well. All right. Just going to let that thing send over. Okay, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to make my way to the printer, and I'm going to show you guys how I feed the paper through and watch and get you guys watching it print. Okay, I'm back. I'm right by my 7720. I have a Workforce 7720. I sent the design over already, so it's already aired out because it's expecting to receive the paper. It wants the paper in the rear feeder. So once I put that paper through, it should start printing. I should just clear that fault, and it should start printing. I have my guides open to fit just slightly bigger than 12 inches. Make sure you have the glossy side and you have the matte side. So I'm going to make sure that I put it in there correctly. I'm sure I'm probably blocking it with my hands. I'm sorry, guys. So if you feed it in there correctly, it should just automatically grab. Okay, so there we go. It grabbed that, and it should confirm with me, or probably just going to start printing with my luck. Okay, so press OK to print. All right. Now I'm going to let this printer do its thing. I'm going to allow you guys to watch it as well, because behind I want to set up my mat, because I want to show you guys how I place it on my cutting mat, and then also get ready to cut it as well. I know this part is very boring because basically you're just watching it print. But I just kind of want you guys to see, the full, outcome as far as, from beginning to end, and things like that. So just, a handful of seconds more. You could see it coming out now. So once it's done printing, that ink pretty much dries instantly, and I'll be able to send it over to my cutter and get that vinyl started to cut. So these bottles are a little bit different. These are my own personal bottles of the Eco Rush ink. But so the other bottles I have, they actually have the color tops and stuff like that. It's looking good. I could see the color already. It's looking real good. And like I said, the outline doesn't print. There's a red outline. If you're familiar with Silhouette Studio and Cameo and how it works, that outline, that red color is just the color of the line, so you could see it on your screen, but it will not print. So once I cut it, it should just cut a nice thin white line around everything. Then I should be able to weed it out through here as well, and it'll be good to go. The ink dries pretty quickly. The one thing about Eco Solvent ink, it has a very fast dry time, so you shouldn't really have roller marks or things like that. I mean, if you have roller marks, there's something wrong. I do not recommend. You could try the premium matte setting if you want to, but I print personally with bright white paper setting. So anything outside of that, I don't want to say that it's not going to work. That's just not what I print with. So if you want to try the premium matte setting, you can. You know, it may leave the ink wet slightly longer and things like that, but I think you should be okay for the most part. You can see the color really coming through on that. That thing is really looking good. Let me pull this tray out a little bit more. We're at about the 15-minute mark, so you know, for the handful of seconds that I pause it and stuff like that, from beginning to end, it's not a long process. Probably a little bit longer because I'm explaining things and things like that. But for, you know, from beginning to end, it's not very long to make, you know, to do one shirt. And if you're doing the same design, it's pretty easy, to be honest with you. Now, me personally, I'm a Mario Brothers guy. You know, I grew up in the '80s, and I'm a Power Rangers kid as well. So this came out pretty cool. Actually, that came out looking really good. I like that. Super Smash Mario Rangers. And they got, you know, all of the Mario Brothers and stuff like that with the Mario Power Ranger theme. So I like that. That looks, actually, it looks really, really good. That's a good print. And I'm going to, okay, so the next step basically is I'm going to go ahead and pause this so I can move over and show you guys how I put this onto my actual cutting mat and things like that. And just a little small hint or tip to get what I do, so to speak. So I'm going to pause it and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I have a cutting mat. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little ghetto. I didn't want to buy the 24-inch mat. I bought a 3-pack of these mats and I just kind of taped it together at the middle. So I have a 12-inch by 24-inch mat. It works perfectly for me, no problems whatsoever. I'm not saying to do that. This part is not part of the tutorial, obviously, but I'm just kind of showing you in case you guys are wondering, hey, what's going on with his mat? What did he do? You know, what is that? So it's just you know, two mats I got from Amazon that I just taped together, and they work out perfectly, and they're still sticky. So for me, personally, what I do myself, let me kind of just adjust this table so I got a little bit of room, is it's really important to line up the top two ones with the top of your actual cutting mat with this line here. I noticed when I try to align these two, there's always going to be a problem. Whenever I try to align these two, for some reason my eye doesn't read. But when I align these two, it reads just about every single time. So what I do is I just align it on the top. I just kind of do a quick fold, and I'm sorry if you guys can't, you know, get a great visual on this. I'm not that good at tutorials. So basically, I just trying to line it up on the top, and then however it rolls out from there is just however it's going to roll out from there. Okay, so pretty simple, pretty basic, not too bad. And that's that. And the next move is I'm going to feed it into the actual Cameo cutter itself. So you guys will walk with me to my little closet room inside my office. Make an adjustment to the camera. And excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be unprofessional. But this is, you know, live and direct. So basically, let me make sure my Cameo is on. So I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna just load it up first, really quick. Just make sure it's lined up. Boom. Okay. So now that thing is loaded. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna bring my computer over, my laptop over, and I want to show you guys because once you send it over, it instantly just starts going, and I don't want to run over here. So give me a second. I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna come back with my laptop to set right next to it. And I'll show you guys what the next step would be. Okay, I'm back with the printer, and I'm sorry, with my with my laptop right there, right next to my Cameo. Sorry, I have my Cameo in a little small closet area, so it's a little tight and stuff like that. I don't have much working area because I don't use it as much as some of my other equipment. But basically, okay, so this is the design that we printed out. So before I send it over, I'm just going to move this design over and just leave that design alone because all I want to cut is the offset. That's all I want it to cut. So this is still good to go. It's still loaded up, just how I had it previously. I'm going to make sure that you guys could see that. So I'm going to go ahead and send it over. So it should have the outline ready to go. Now these are the preferences that I have set up. I just go to sticker paper, or I'm sorry, you have to go to the actual type itself, and you want to go down to heat transfer vinyl, and I just have it for heat transfer smooth. That's just me personally. I change my blade all the way up to about an 8. And then I put my force at around a 12. Anything, 12, 13 is not going to hurt. Not going to make a difference. So, now that's good to go. Those are the only settings that I have. I move my blade to an 8. I have a heat transfer smooth for the setting. And then I have a force at 13 and my speed for 8. That's it. So once I push send, it's already ready to go. Ideally, it should start to cut. So if this works perfectly, then I'll look good. And if it fails, then I'll look really stupid. So we'll see what happens. And send it as is. Yeah, that's one thing I should have said. You do not need to mirror this when you're printing on the vinyl. Looking good, looking good. Okay, so that thing is done cutting. It should give me the option to unload it now. So that's unloaded. I'm gonna do this one-handed, so the camera's gonna jump around a little bit. So excuse me, but I want to show you how easy this stuff is to weed. If you cut it properly, it should just weed very easily. I'm just gonna peel up a corner, and I'm gonna put some elbow on here so I can get some resistance. But it literally should just peel right up. I mean, you've seen that just peeled right up. And I'm gonna grab a pen for this center part. Sorry, I didn't have my weeding tool with me. Boom. Okay. So now that's good to go. The next step is I'm gonna for one I got to do this two-handed, so I got to put the camera back onto the mount. I'm gonna move her over to the next room. I'm gonna show you how I put the mask on, and then we'll press it onto the shirt. So you can see it cut real clean. The border gives it a nice, good, clean cut. That way you don't have to worry about it, cutting into your design and stuff like that. That's what I personally do myself. So I'm going to pause this, and the next step would be putting the mask on. Basically, you would just remove this from the cutter and then put the mask on and things like that, and we'll be ready to press this onto a shirt. Okay, we are headed towards third base and almost headed home with this whole project. I'm not gonna lie. Normally, for me, me personally, this doesn't take me that long. So if you're looking at the time, you're just like, wow, it took them 24, 25 minutes to make a shirt. No, it's just the explaining part and trying to make it into a tutorial is probably the more time consuming part. So you have your printed transfer. We printed it, we cut it out, whatever, however you want to say that. So the next step is to grab this mask that I briefly talked about. Basically, how I do it, and let me see, so make sure you guys have a good view, because I don't want to be blocking you guys. Let me move this thing over here, so you guys can get a good visual. Maybe I just do something like that so I can get a good size, and I just grab my pair of scissors. This doesn't need to be perfect because you're going to end up trimming it already. Okay, so then you do have to peel this back, and you'll have your clear mask, okay, or your transfer, however you want to call it. I start from the top myself, and I just let that thing go down. And definitely want to work out the air bubbles and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, Obviously, because you know you're just gonna do a quick transfer over, so not too bad. Oh, camera almost fell. Okay, not the most professional, tutorial. Like I said, I'm sorry, guys. But I just kind of did, want to get you guys a visual as far as what my process is and things like that. So that's that. Now you just peel the backing off. Okay, so now the adhesive part is exposed, and that's the actual transfer itself. I'm going to turn you around because you're right behind my heat press. Let me make sure that you guys have a good visual on that. Just a black shirt, nothing fancy. I pressed this at, well, I had it at about 350, so it's probably around 345 right about now. So I press it around 345, 350 for about 30 seconds, give or take. And that should give me a nice, good, clean transfer and a nice, bond onto the shirt. So get this thing there. I already have my shirt already pre-lined up. I did that already. So make sure your shirt is good to go, lined up. There we go. I do need a sheet of butcher paper. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and press this bad boy. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to let it go for about 30 seconds. And we'll do a live reveal. And hopefully we'll be good to go. So a couple small mishaps. Obviously camera fell over. That didn't look good. Stumbled across my word a couple times and things like that. I hope you guys can look past that and just kind of look at the message behind, the video, and things like that. I'm just trying to provide a live feed. Not really a live feed, but just a feed as far as how I do it. And it actually can be done, and it is possible. You do not need any fancy equipment to make Eco Solvent transfers. Just let it go. So right there at 34 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and pop that in. Look at that. Design is looking really good. And it's a hot peel. Boom. There you are. A nice Eco Solvent transferred shirt. I mean, it looks good. It looks real good. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that you guys can see it. So I got to get behind the camera really quick. Yeah, look at that. They hold up really well too. The Eco Solvent transfers hold up really well. Nice and flexible, and the higher temp and stuff like that. I don't know if you could see it, but if you could see the texture of the shirt, then you know you have a good quality bond. If the vinyl still looks flat, like you just like it's just laying on top of the shirt, then it's a problem. But if you get close and you can kind of see the texture from the shirt, then you know it's a good bond. So let me put this over here. And move the camera off of the mount really quick. Boom. There you go. No special camera work. No nothing. That's the shirt. It's a little bright in here, so some of the light you'll have like a little bit of a glare back at you, but in a different angle, it looks really good. I'm very proud of that shirt. I'm happy with it, and I'm gonna be wearing it. I might wear it on the way home today. So, less than 30 minutes for the tutorial. I'm sorry it took up so much time, but it is possible. There you go. There it is. That's the shirt. This is a black cotton shirt. I think it's Anvil brand or Gildan. Actually, it's Gildan, and it's a great way to make to make shirts on to make designs on cotton shirts. Excuse me. So not too bad. Worked out really really well, and I got me a cool shirt. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, any concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I know I probably didn't answer too many questions. I just kind of wanted to show you my process of this video. And again, I do apologize. It probably wasn't the most professional tutorial. Some of you guys are probably watching this video like, this guy's a bozo. But hey, this is information that I was able to provide. And, I've been trying a couple of times, but I had a lot of technical difficulties. And this is probably one of the better ones I've been able to put together. So I hope it's informative. I hope you guys get a visual. And And look at that. That looks good. Now you could see I have issues myself with the whole print and cut still. Sometimes it's you're just gonna have an issue. I haven't perfected that part yet. You can see where it missed, but I'd rather have it do that with the outline than, like I said before, it cut off part of the design itself. So that was the purpose why I do the offset cut. Other than that, though, it looks pretty good. Go Echo Rush ink.